Hey everybody, Nick here, and this morning I got a review for you of the Kizer Vanguard series Begleiter. Don't worry, it's spelled out on the, but it's a German name. Nonetheless, so yeah, this is in Kizer's Vanguard series, which is meant to be more value-oriented sorts of knives, and which is funny, because Kizer itself is kind of a value-oriented company, but hey, whatever. And I'd like to thank one of my viewers, Dan, for sending this my way for the review. Size comparison-wise, here is your Spyderco Delica and your ZTO 452. So there you go. That's the size, and let's just go on ahead, jump in, get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, first, a lot of good here. One thing that I noticed that kind of brought me a little bit of joy, and I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to try. Yeah, there you go. The liners are actually skeletonized on this side, which means that it knocks out a little bit of weight, which is kind of a beautiful thing. And it also reduces materials cost, but it's nice to see something like that. That's a level of give a damn that's always nice to see, particularly in knives with good liners like this. But the liners are all around, so, you know, very happy there. The knife runs on bronze washers. I hope you might be able to see it, but you might not. But they're just boring bronze washers. But they're full thickness and decent enough. And the knife is smoothish to open. It's not great for a reason we'll talk about later, but it is fairly smooth. No real concern. And action-wise, you can flick it open pretty easily. Yeah, so that's a nice thing. I do like the design on this a whole bunch because the shape of it is very good. And in fact, it kind of reminds me of the ZT452CF, except at a smaller scale. This is 3.5-inch blade. This is 3.75. But it's got a lot of the same benefits. It's a thinner blade, and it, makes for a decent enough slicer. The fact that it doesn't have a flipper tab means that you can get down onto cuts fairly straightforwardly. And, it's a nice little slicer of a knife. That's beautiful. A couple other elements of the design I enjoyed are these rings around the pivots here, which are very nice, little anodized aluminum. They've got a very nice lanyard hole on here, and it's a little bit bigger because, I'm not a huge fan of lanyard holes in general, but at least this one is kind of more committal, like this is a part of the design, rather than some of them where it's just like, oh, what the hell, we'll throw a lanyard hole on there at the end. So I like that. The clip is good. It's very thin, and, it's not too deep carry, but, it's good enough. And it is tip-up only. I'm sorry. It is tip-up only. Hey, I can talk this morning. Wow. Long day. But anyways, so there you go. And then it's actually pretty easy to disassemble as well. You take apart this screw, and the pivot. Then once you got that open, the stop pin is screwed in. And that's actually kind of interesting. In a lot of knives, particularly on the lower end, your stop pin's just kind of be floating here between the G10. But here they actually screwed in the stop pin, which means it's not going anywhere, and it's another element of the security here. Which is nice, because this knife on the whole is very, strongly built. It's well done. The ergonomics on it are just honestly great. Could they be a little better? Maybe, yeah. But I got no complaints there. The steel here is VG10. And VG10 is just good to go as a steel. No issues at all. Good stuff. The fit and finish is actually pretty damn good on this. For instance, the chamfering on all the liners is quite nice. And, overall, I'm pretty damned impressed with your fit and finish on this knife. And the biggest thing that this has going for it is the price. So I actually carried this around for a few days and kind of did my initial write-up before I looked at the price, because I didn't know much about this particular model. This guy turns out to be running about $52, which is really impressive. There are a couple of little flaws here, but by and large, you're getting a really nice design with really good fit and finish for $52. Wow. And so the price is just stellar. I was kind of blown away. And, that's in some hotly contested territory, but that's cheaper than the Delica, and this is probably better made. I like the Delica a lot as a functional tool, and I'll carry the Delica over this guy just because I tend to prefer the smaller blades and whatnot. But this is a really great value at $52. That was pretty damned impressive. So there's your good. The design is good, the action's fine. The blade steel is good to go, the ergos are good, and the fit and finish is all good. So, and obviously the price is just, wow, damn good. Let's jump into the bad. Only one bad thing here, and that's this knife is very finicky to get set up after you disassemble it. it really takes some doing to get the action dialed in, just to the right pivot tightness, that it's, a reasonably smooth knife. It's never going to fall shut. It's never going to be a super... But, to even get it to a place where I like it, that took some doing. And you can see here that at that point still, this little aluminum ring here, well, hopefully you can hear it, is actually vibrating around a little bit because the pivot is loose enough for that to happen. Why is it so finicky, you might ask? Well, that's the ugly. You can see here that they've actually taken the blade and they've painted it. And I don't like painted blades in general, because as you use the knife more and more, the blade is going to just get uglier and uglier. And that's no good, but the really terrible thing is that they painted the inside of the blade too. You can see it there. Even the surfaces that contact the washers. So they've got paint on steel, and then there's a bronze washer here. And what that means is that, at least even in my experience with some good oil in there and really trying, the washers actually rotate with the blade. Usually, and it's not always the case, but very often, you have your washer and your blade, and the blade rotates against the washer. In this case, the washer and blade are rotating together against the liners. And that's, I don't know, that's just no good. And so that whole thing gums up the works a little bit. The washer is not spinning quite where you'd want. And also the detent ball is having to drag through paint. And so had they switched that, had they just controlled their paint, had they masked off the very edge of the knife for the action, when they did the paint, this would be a much better knife. But as it is, it's fine, and for $50, it's great. But they really made a key critical error there that's causing them some troubles. So what's the final verdict here on your Kizer Begleiter? So this is a really compelling knife on paper. It's got a whole lot of good to it. Great ergos and great blade shape. I mean, it's a good functional cutting tool. And no real complaints there. I mean, the lockup is solid. Everything is pretty damn nice about it. And the fit and finish is great. And it's just got one ugly thing, and that's the damn painting of the action there. And that's something you can fix with some sandpaper and some polishing compound and a steady hand. So even that's not a huge, huge issue. So there's a whole lot of good here. And at $50, this is pretty damn compelling. But I'm a little conflicted in reviewing it. TGV, the urban gentry guy, always talks about the X factor for things. Kind of that thing that makes you go from, this is really nice to, I really like this. And this, for some reason, just doesn't have the X factor. I would jump up to the Delica nonetheless, even though this is a lot more knife in terms of physicality, and the fit and finish is frankly a little bit better. The design on the Delica just grabs me in that way that this leaves me just a little bit cold. And so, this is very, very close. And if you're looking at it and you like it, do it. No issues there, especially if you own sandpaper. But otherwise, I don't know. So it's going to just narrowly dodge gem designation. If it weren't for the painted blade thing, this would probably be a gem all day long. As it is, it's a very nice knife, and it's a great knife for the money you're paying. But, you got to love it first. And I guess there you go. So, I hope this has been helpful for you. The Kizer Begleiter is a great knife at the price, but not quite a gem. And I hope that you guys have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.